It's right here on the Big Y1079 FM. Because, of course, it is last minute. But real quick, let me put you on a couple of things before we jump straight into our next segment. Now, Capstar Cable and the Focus Technology is a Ghanaian wire and cable brand manufactured in Ghana to international quality standards. Certified by the Ghana Standard Authority. Now, every cable we produce is engineered to deliver reliable performance and uncompromising protection. Now, for residential, commercial, or industrial wiring, Capstar Cable is the right cable to use. It delivers reliable power distribution with safety you can trust. Capstar Cable, safety empowered, quality assured. And right about now, a lot of you are seeing your friends travel, are seeing your people travel. I mean, I saw one of the guests on her snap. She had traveled. I'm sure maybe all her people who have also seen her snap or have seen her status have been seeing her travel, and they're asking themselves, when will it be my turn? Well, we have A Study Abroad here to tell you that you can stop dreaming and start packing, because whether you're looking to further your education or gain global exposure, A Study Abroad is the only name you need to know. Now, instead of giving you just a list, they give you a future. We're talking about thousands of Ghanaians who are already successfully placed in the United Kingdom, in the United States of America, in Germany, in Canada, and even in Australia. And of course, Australia will be playing Egypt later on. We're going to be showing that at Lizalex. But what exactly are you looking for, guys? Are you looking for steady opportunities abroad? Then let me put you on to their Coventry or their group scholarship with Coventry University in the United Kingdom. With that, you could save up to £2,000 per year with a Coventry University group scholarship. Now, if you are interested in trying your hands on diverse programs like nursing and IT to engineering and business, there is a slot for everyone regardless of your academic background. Or maybe you don't want to go through visa stress and you want to forget the embassy headache. Your plans have been delayed long enough if that is the case, because ACE provides expert guidelines and fast visa processing that puts your worries to an end. So don't let this year pass you by because of the wait. Visit their office at Teshi or call the number I'm about to give you, 026-846-6989. Again, that is 026-846-6989. Call now and let's start processing together. A Study Abroad, paving a brighter way. And we have our two guests in the studio. Now, a couple of weeks back, we were talking about, we're having a discussion about divorce in the country, or divorce law. And we are going to have a part 2 of that discussion. We're diving deeper. Today, we'll be focusing on spousal property and child custody during divorce. And I actually learned a couple of things today. I was not aware of the Matrimonial Causes Act of 1971. And I'm sure they'll be expanding on that Act 367, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a clause or an act in the 1992 Constitution that they'll also be talking about. Also, we'll be getting information about how things are split. Property is split between both parties when there is a divorce, and in relation to child custody as well. So we have Lawyer Ella, Lawyer Smart. I mean, I think it's the title Lawyer. Also, am I saying Lawyer Ella Esquire, Lawyer Smart Esquire? Which one am I doing? Or just Lawyer Ella, Lawyer Smart?
It's fine. Any of them.
Any of them is fine. So welcome to the studio. Lawyer Smart, this is your first time. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good by God's grace.
Oh, okay. I'm also doing good. If you could push the microphone closer to you. Okay, that's good. So we are having this discussion. It is a part 2, all right? So a lot of people do not have a lot of knowledge when it comes to divorce. I mean, it is when they get in contact with lawyers that they find out one or two things that they weren't privy to. And we will have some talking points on it, because I think one of the biggest misconceptions I realize, and I'll let you basically expand on it before you even touch it, is the way we split properties between partners and parties. So I think you should take the lead right now, because you seem to be like the expert. She was hinting that you were the expert, so I'm going to come to you. Just give us the general overview of how that particular, the spousal property and child custody. Yes.
All right. So as you have already mentioned, in the event of divorce, these ancillary issues may arise as to how properties that have been acquired during marriage should be shared between the parties, and also issues of custody if there are issues or children in the marriage. But before I go into spousal property in respect of divorce, I want the audience to understand that spousal property does not only arise in divorce. It also arises in the course of marriage. It also arises during divorce, and also even after death of parents. That is where issues of inheritance and succession comes inside. But because our focus is now geared towards when there is a divorce, we will tackle that so that subsequent segments or sections, we also look at the other areas.
Okay.
So, before we look at the distribution, we have to understand what marital property is in the first place. So, marital property is basically properties that are acquired by spouses during marriage. If I say marriage, the earlier segment, they espoused on what marriage is. So, irrespective of whether it is Mohammedan, customary, or ordinance, they are all marriage. So, properties that are acquired by spouses during marriage. And it is also irrespective whether the other spouse contributed to the making or the acquisition of the property. It is irrespective. So once a property is made during the subsistence of a marriage, it is marital property. We have to get it like that. So whether the other party contributed or not is irrelevant. But the focus is, was it acquired during marriage?
Okay.
Once that is established, it is a marital property.
Okay. And just a quick one, it is during the marriage. So if you and your partner, maybe you were cohabitating for like 2-3 years before you married, whatever property you might have accrued together, would that also be a part of the spousal property?
Yes. So the earlier segment, if you remember, my colleagues that came, they explained the formal and informal type of marriage. So if in the view of the law, whatever has transpired between the parties can be classified as an informal customary marriage, then there is marriage in the first place. So if any property that is acquired during that informal customary marriage would also be considered as marital property. So the example you gave, if they have cohabited and in the sight of the public, they are living as husband and wife, and the two of them has actually either expressly or impliedly agreed to live as husband and wife, then in that context, any property that is acquired within that context would also be classified as marital property. That is why I said it is within marriage, irrespective of the type. Is it clear? Yeah.
Okay. Now, a lot of people might not understand, because I feel when it comes to separation, divorce, we look at it in terms of let's say who. I think we look at it in terms of the male side, where it's like which person is taking the property, we are going to give it to the man, especially because we look at it as the men are the ones who acquire most of the property. So a lot of people assume that it is always supposed to be the man who is taking, and even to the point where we've got it to this stage where people see divorce as being beneficial to women, because the courts would look at especially when there's a child at hand, the courts would look to take care of the needs of the wife, that's the mother and the child, and so a lot of property would go to that side. So people don't know how it's supposed to be shared, because I've seen other conversations where it's supposed to be 50-50, especially when there's something like a prenup available. You can decide to be 50-50, or you can decide a percentage. But I would like you to help people understand how this distribution is done, how best they'd be able to, if there are those who want to plan, because I realize that a lot of people right now are very, very attuned to the idea of prenup and are very, very in support of it, but then they don't truly understand what goes into it, what the setup is like, and how the distribution will be done. So if you can also do that for me.
All right. So before I come to the distribution, there is something that has to be understood in terms of acquiring properties during marriage. So I've explained what marital property is. And the law regarding property in our constitution allows for people to acquire properties alone or in connection with others. That is what the law provides under Article 18.1. So it is irrespective of whether you are in a marriage setting or you are single. So even in marriage, someone can acquire property alone, which would be termed as a self-acquired marital property. Or they can acquire property together, jointly, as spouses. So we have the self-acquired marital property, and we have jointly acquired marital properties. So the law allows for that. So although, yes, the Bible says the two shall be one, and every property acquired is intended to be for the beneficiary, to benefit both parties. But the law under Article 18 provides for each individual to have his or her property alone or in connection with his spouse. So the law allows for that. So I want the audience to understand that even in marriage, you can acquire a property alone, whether as a husband or as a wife, or you can agree together as husband and wife to acquire properties together, which is termed as jointly acquired properties. But because the naturalists will say that our laws in Ghana also abide by, the Bible, which is the natural law that governs all laws in the universe. So, in as much as the Constitution provides that you can own property alone or in conjunction with your spouse, the law has also reasoned with the biblical perspective that the two shall be one. So, the law first favors or gives a presumption in favor of jointly acquired properties once the property is acquired during marriage. So the first presumption that is established in marriage is that once the property is acquired during marriage, it is presumed to be jointly acquired until there is evidence to prove the contrary. So if you are a man, if you are a woman in a marriage, although you can own property alone as prescribed by the Constitution, but the law has first made a presumption, which is in conjunction with biblical perspective, that the two is one. So once you make properties, it is presumed that the two of you made it together, unless you can provide evidence to the contrary. So you can provide evidence on the face of the conveyance or whatever document was given to you when you were acquiring the property. So that is one way to prove it. Or maybe there can be a separate agreement that, okay, I am buying this property, but this property I'm buying, there's an agreement between the man and the wife that this property should be for the wife or this property should be for the man. The law will also respect that, despite that presumption. It is a rebuttable presumption, so it can be rebutted. But the law has initially or from the onset presumed that to you, that all properties acquired during marriage is jointly acquired, unless you can prove that it was for the exclusive use of one of the spouses. So that has to be understood. And because of that, the law has kind of put a restriction on marital properties or marital properties that are presumed to be jointly acquired. So under the law, if properties that are presumed to be jointly acquired during marriage, maybe the husband wants to deal with it in the terms of maybe alienation, the husband wants to sell the property, transfer the property, or use it to secure a loan. The law requires the consent of the spouse, the other spouse. The law is unisex, so it could be the woman who wants to use the property or the man. So the consent of the other spouse is also necessary. But the law to serve the interests of both parties also creates a caveat that consent should not be unreasonably withheld. You know, there are some women, they sabotage everything. There are some men who also sabotage everything.
I like the fact that you balanced it out.
Yeah. So sometimes maybe there are some financial difficulties. You have a land somewhere you want to sell, or you want to use the land for a loan. I won't understand why do you want to sell other things. So the law will look at the reasonableness of what you want to do and whether consent was necessary within that period. So if the consent is necessary within that period and it is being withheld by the other spouse, the law can waive that consent or dispense with that consent and still proceed that although this consent was needed, but under the circumstance, it was unreasonably withheld so that the man can or the woman can go ahead with any transaction he wants to do on the property. So this background is very important, especially in the context of when there is no divorce or when there is no separation. So having laid the foundation of what the law presumes marital properties to be, that is jointly acquired, that is where the issue comes when in the event of divorce or separation. Now, the law has already presumed that it is jointly acquired. So now what is my interest in it? What is the lady's interest in it? So when it comes to that perspective, first thing we have to understand is I've already made a distinction between self-acquired marital property and jointly acquired marital property. So before even the distribution starts, there are certain properties that are excluded from distribution. So those exclusions has to be understood. So first, self-acquired properties of spouses are not part of the distribution scheme. Self-acquired. And as I've already mentioned, the property can be self-acquired with or without, within the context of marriage or not. So a person can be single and single-handedly acquire the property, which is straightforward. In a marriage, because of Article 18.1, someone can actually have a self-acquired property in a marriage. So if you're able to establish to that effect that although you are in a context of marriage, but a property you acquired is self-acquired, it would be excluded from the distribution scheme. It will be excluded from the distribution scheme. That is one exception to the distribution. Secondly, issues of gift, inheritance, and succession are also excluded from the distribution scheme. So if you are married to your husband, you are married to your wife, your husband's parents die, they leave maybe a house or a property for your husband, it does not become marital property. Or although it becomes marital property, but it does not become a jointly acquired marital property. Do you get? Because
like I want to use the instance of and because we have little time, we'll jump into the child custody in just a bit. The instance of Ashraf Hakimi, the PSG player, who when the issue of his legal battle with his partner came up, we found out that his property were in his mother's name. So that cannot be acquired by her.
Exactly. So let's say in his case, this is just a hypothetical situation, but not just to fit it in the context of our legal framework. Let's say the properties are in the name of the mother. The mother dies, and now he inherits the mother. The property will be acquired through inheritance or succession. So in the context of our legal framework, that property will be excluded from the distribution scheme. But sometimes equity may intervene if you try to outsmart the other. That one to have to emphasize on that. If sometimes you try to be smart or outsmart your partner, yes, equity may intervene in order to create justice. But all other things being equal, if the thing is inheritance or succession, it is excluded from the distribution scheme. Also, if there are gifts and donations, if someone gives you a land, some people you might be good to a chief, and maybe the chief may give you a property or something. Yeah, all gifts and donations are also excluded from the distribution scheme.
Okay. Now, real quick, let's quickly jump onto the custody side, Because when you add the child custody battles to it, we also need to understand the guiding principles. Because a lot of people do feel that these things, property and child custody, goes in favor of the woman. That is the general consensus right now, not just in Ghana, but worldwide. But I want to understand from your expertise, from your, and I think I should let Ella be the one to take this, what the guiding principles are when it comes to adding a child custody as well. Because we need to understand who is likely to be picked, why they pick the person, and of course what some of the misconceptions are, because the main one is that we assume that automatically it's given to the woman all the time. That's what most men think. So if you can take us through that one as well.
Yes, thank you. So the bit that I will speak on regarding the custody is that, well, as you said, it's a misconception. It's because that's the general practice. Usually when there is sharing children after divorce, like not sharing per se, but who takes
the responsibility of the children.
And yes, I mean, with custody, it's not that one party will not have the child at all. What it is, one will have contact, the other would live with the child. So contact is just maybe weekend visiting, another one will have the child stay in. So the general law is when it's between fathers and mothers, the child, if it's a minor, usually, and in minors, I'm talking about children below the age of 18. So from 17 all the way to a day old, will be the law would favor having that child in the custody of the mother, and then the father would have contact, because women are maternal, and then we are most likely able to take care of children better than fathers. But that also is not cast in stone. If you can prove, what is with the law is you have to be able to prove that a woman has a questionable behavior and the child will not be safe. Because everything the law looks at when it comes to child custody or custody of children during divorces is in the best interest, as we rightfully said during the part one, marriages and divorces, it should be in the best interest of the child. So if the woman's behavior is questionable, for instance, I'm not saying being specific, but I'm just giving questionable behaviors, like she's a drunkard, like she's into drugs, I mean, all these behaviors that if a child who is a minor,
will be taught to endanger the child.
Exactly. So in that respect, if the man can prove that this is what is going on, and although the court will first skew to the woman and give the minor to the woman, if that should happen, the child's life, it won't be in the best interest of the child, and that can be endangering the child, maybe not helping the child to grow properly, the environment, I mean, when it comes to nurturing and all that, the courts will definitely give it to the man.
Okay. So
people think that also out there is about money. So if the man is rich, some women have the fear that, he has more money, and when there is a divorce, he's going to take my children, he will be able to sway his way and manipulate the system. No, because as I rightfully said, the first point will be to the woman. Unless the woman's behavior is questionable and it wouldn't be in the best interest of the child to leave the child with such a person. Yes. So
all right. And with the person who doesn't have custody, what are some of the obligations? Because as you said, most of the time, one parent, which is the mother, will have custody, the other parents will have contact.
Yes.
So in the case where we have women having custody, men having contact, what are some of the obligations? Because the main one that I know of is the financial obligations, the alimony, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, maintenance. Alimony is to the divorce.
Okay.
So maintenance is the periodic payments that the mother will receive regarding maybe herself as a carer for the child or to the child.
Okay.
Yeah. So some obligations will be, as you rightfully said, the financial obligation for the man to be financially responsible. So if they're taking the child away, I'm using the layman's term, if the mother is now keeping the child full time and the child gets contact on weekends or certain days when he's available, so it will be arranged between both parents, and then the court will give those agreed periods. So yes, if let's say weekends, it doesn't mean that it's only on weekends that the child will have money from the father, or only when the child visits No. So whatever obligation the court or whatever parental responsibility each parent is supposed to have in relation to that child or those children, it will stand. Mothers will do their bit, and then fathers will also do their part. Yes.
And in the case where both sides are not able, if let's say the custodian is unable to take care of their bit and the non-custodians also unable to maintain, what happens then?
So if the father, let's say, is being quote-unquote unreasonable, that I don't get to enjoy my time with my child, so I'm not going to pay the fees, I'm not going to send the money for maintenance, the courts can always grant a standing order. If you go back, I mean, that's why lawyers are there to assist you when it comes to these bits, because you would have to if persuasion fails, force must be applied. So you'd have to coerce the person. So in such instances, the court can order for a debit, a particular amount, to always be deducted from the person's account on certain occasions. Because if he's not being reasonable with payment and he's jacking it against an action that if you do this, then I'll give you the money. No, there can always be remedies. Yeah.
I see. And let me come to Lawyer Smart real quick, because in such cases where we have issues with child custody and also property being split, what normally happens? Because like I said, we don't have, like you were explaining, there are different things that have to come into play before you decide how property will go this way or that way. Now, I think that most people would think that it should go 50-50, but obviously it does not, depending on certain things. So I want to ask, what in both your experience, what are some of the things that actually go wrong when it comes to splitting of the property and also deciding who has custody and the time that they're able to schedule between them?
All right. So in respect of the property split, as you mentioned, that some of the opinion that it should be 50-50, our constitution and Article 22 uses a particular word that it should be equitable, not equal, equitable. So equitable, in my understanding, or per the literal meaning and the cases I've read in respect of the distribution, means proportionality rather than equality. Proportionality. So if I use proportionality in this context, I mean equality falls under proportionality, because proportionality could be either be 50-50, 60-40, 70-20, 70-30, 80-20. So we look at proportionality, what is fair under the circumstance. So the court would have to consider all the facts in order to come up with an assessment as to what is equitable or what is proportional within that circumstance or what is fair. And in doing so, the court is guided by certain principles, which is guided by your contribution as to the acquisition of the property. So your contribution to the acquisition of the property could either be financial, direct, or what is termed as substantial contribution. So if we say direct contribution, we have women or wives. If the man is building, you see them on site, carrying mortars, carrying plywood and other things, cooking for the foreman, the mason, and all those people. This would be considered as direct contribution to the acquisition of the property. So if you are building and your wife is carrying mortar and the plywoods and cooking for the foremen and all the workers, she's actually contributing to the acquisition of the property. And it could be financial. Yeah. She can give you money. That one,
so in that instance, her contribution is non-financial.
Yes, it's non-financial. It's direct. That one is direct. It is direct to the acquisition of the property. Some even use, they do some of the plastering. They are all direct contribution. Financial, that one is straightforward. She gives you money, or maybe she does some businesses, and she gives you something to invest. And we have the substantial contribution. That is the interesting part of it, where she is not on site, she has not given you money, but she has afforded you the leverage or the comfort for you to come up or for you to acquire that property. For instance, you married a woman. The woman was working as a nurse. You don't like night shift or whatever be the case. You said, okay, I want you to be a housewife, take care of the children. I want you to do house duties so that I will go out, work and acquire properties. If that is done and she does his work well as a housewife, cooking for you, taking care of the children, and most importantly, offering you good sex, then, I mean, she has substantially contributed to you, giving you that leverage to acquire properties. So in that context, the law would deem them as jointly acquired properties. And looking at the effort and the effort of the woman, the court will make an assessment as to what percentage would be fair for her or what would be just for her. So the straight 50-50 in our jurisdiction is not applicable. We look at what is fair, which in certain circumstances may be 50-50.
Okay.
Which in certain circumstances may be 50-50. So they have to understand that we look at what is fair or what is just.
Or as you said, what is equitable, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. And I was asking what are some of the issues that you both seen when it comes to these, but I mean, we are going to have this conversation again. We've actually run into Shouts on White Time. But then I was asking what issues you've come across whenever you were handling cases or you were observing cases where there was a distribution, like there was a divorce and they had to distribute property or even distribute time with children. What are some of the things that you saw, some of the issues, some of the problems that you had to deal with?
I think what I have observed is some men are reasonable. Trust me. They are very kind and generous. They would accept whatever the lady is asking for and just ask their lawyers to grant her wishes. So there's been instances that they had 2 parcels of land, they have 2 cars, and the lady asked for alimony, obviously, for like maintenance, an amount. And then the gentleman said, you know what, you are my lawyers. We represented him as lawyers. He said, let them have it.
Okay.
Let her and the children.
Because I've seen some people who think that because I'm paying alimony and I'm paying maintenance, you should not have my property.
Yes, you will have those men too. But what I have encountered is what I'm attesting to. So I'll leave that other half to Smart to see if he has met them. But no, in my case, it's been very peaceful.
Okay.
All the ones, and then even with custody, they agree because they know that if the child is with me Monday to Friday, it wouldn't work. I'm working, I'm up in the morning. The child needs to be taken care of. These children are like, 5, 3, some are even in their early teens, but they need maintenance, they need supervisions and all that. So they agree. Okay. Let the woman have the child. I will visit my child or my children on weekends, and then such arrangements work. So smart.
All right. So one difficulty that is predominant is the existence of evidence to establish your contribution to the acquisition of the marital properties. So there is this principle that says that marriage is not a business of commerce. So mostly people out of love and other things may not keep evidence of what they are doing. Yes. I mean, everything they do out of love.
Exactly.
So if your wife
we got this property together and then we said it by mouth that it is ours. So we didn't put it in paper, in writing.
That is so. And we have women who are traditional, very traditional. Okay, everything they do for the man. So even if they buy their own property or they contribute to the acquisition of the property, register it in your name. Do you get it? Register it in your name. Then some men may take advantage by, at the end or in a case of divorce or separation, may now come up with the assertion that the property is for them. Do you get it? So that is some of the difficulties we as lawyers may face, because lawyers, we deal with evidence. We just don't deal with fact. every fact has to be supported by evidence. So if you are saying you contributed, how did you contribute? But the interesting thing is the legal fraternity or community has come to understand that most of the things that happen in marriage, we do it out of love and not necessarily in the interest of comments. So a lot of people may not get a lot of evidence or direct or solid evidence on those matters. So testimonial evidence and other things, if you get people that are able to testify that you indeed contributed to the acquisition of the property. Because I heard of a matter where, the man was sending the woman money to build in the country. So after they built the property, I think the woman registered it in her name or something of that sort happened. So now when the issue came up, there was separation or divorce. When the matter came up, now the man now pulled out that evidence that he has been sending money through Western Union. Now the woman's defense was that it was just for maintenance and taking care of the children and nothing regarding the acquisition of the property. So it is her property. So some of these things sometimes happen, but whether you like it or not, if you marry, you cannot have the business or comments conscience within the marriage. Because your emotions and other things may take over. So we have to understand, we shouldn't go in looking for evidence and putting other things down. But the law has also given some opportunity for us to also prove it in other means, which may be acceptable.
I see.
And the issue of custody, I want to add that what is inherent, you ask the question, what is necessary or what will be the obligation of the party who has no custody? Article 28 provides for child rights. And inherently, God has put in us what are your obligations as a wife and what is your obligations as a husband. And to the larger extent, a mother and a father. So whatever is inherently your obligation to do as a man or as a mother or as a father is expected of you even if you have no custody. Because nobody told you to bring the child on earth. You did so in fulfillment of God's vision that we should fill the earth. So once you do that, you also carry the responsibility, the inherent responsibility, and what is also provided under Article 28. And if you fail to do so, they have to understand that there are criminal sanctions in respect of neglecting and abandoning your own child. So aside what my colleague said, that they can institute an action where the court can make firm orders that do A, B, and C, you can end up being fined or going to jail for neglecting your own son. Because I've had an experience in court where the wife and the husband, they were going through divorce litigation or divorce action, and they have neglected the children. Now the children were not schooling because of their own personal banter. Now they ended up in court. The judge was inquiring whether the children are in school or other things, and they didn't bother whether the children were in school or other things. So the judge actually detained them in court and was ready to even refer them to the police for the necessary actions to be taken against them, because it is indeed a criminal offense to neglect your own child. And you can go to jail for that. You can be prosecuted on that by the Republic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they have to take note of that. So whether you have custody or not, you still have to perform your obligations as a mother and father.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I mean, we've actually gone past the time, but this is a conversation that I feel we can even have another session, but then we'll see how that happens, because I actually had a question on prenup, but then I think we'll have to save it for later. Is there anything you want to do before? I mean, this is Lawyer Smart, your first time, so your contact needs to go out for those who want to reach you.
All right. So should I give you?
Oh, yes. I'd prefer you do it so that if anything you say that I did it and I made you to put it there under duress.
All right. So my contact 055 44 82738.
Okay.
055-4482-738.
Okay.
Yeah,
For those
that's
who
my
want to reach you.
contact.
And you don't have your socials?
Yeah, my Instagram, I think is Joy Smart 99. Joy _ Smart 99. My Facebook is my full name, Joshua Yonchi Smart Opoku. As for Twitter, I don't remember the handle.
I understand.
Yeah.
And of course, Ella, I'm gonna let you do what you do.
All right, thank you. So the name is Emmanuela Osadu Esquire, and you can reach me on TikTok, as Rev always says, TikTok lawyer, as Ella Baby 1ESQ, and I would like to send a shout out and well wishes to my mom, Mrs. Gipsy Osadu. She's not well. Speedy recovery, mom.
Speedy recovery to you.
Please come home. All right. Thank you.
Up next is Shout Selector, because it's a Friday on the Big Y1079 FM with AJ the Hottest. Of course, Robbie also in production with myself. But of course, this is Mr. Reg, Ace on the mic, Ace on the airwaves. I did this alongside DJ Ganj the Verb. And of course, I was sitting in for Reveskin. He will be back pretty soon. He's doing the YFM work in Germany. And of course, big shout out to Kes, who is still in the US doing the Lord's work when it comes to Ghana and YFM. Of course, make sure your dial is locked on, because after Shout Selector is a drive-through with Princess AJ, the Big Bad Wolf, and of course DJ Freak, the universe's greatest. And then after that, we are gonna have the Soul Man, Knuckles, and of course DJ Bone taking you from 8 p.m. until midnight. And he'll be preparing you for the Ghana match, because an hour and 30 minutes after the Friday night mix ends is gonna be Ghana versus Colombia versus Ghana. Your predictions real quick before you leave. Yes, you need to predict. We are predicting.
Gano dende.
Exactly.
I mean, we all
I think my patriotism has to come out, although I know the reality. But
the reality is that we are winning.
Yeah.
My prediction is 1-1, and probably we might
go to penalties.
May win on penalties.
Okay.
Benjamin Asari may save some.
Okay. So, guys, we're looking forward to that. We'll be at Lizalex and, of course, Legon City Mall, 1:30 a.m. Colombia versus Ghana, around the 32 matchup. And we'll be taking predictions as well. Remember, we're going to be giving prizes. So, stick and stay. Do not go anywhere. This has been the Mid-Morning Ravers Show, because it's a Friday. Have an amazing
Sway's 10-year birthday celebration, and in this epic month of football, it's your 10. Remember backing Black Stars to beat Niger to make it to Qatar and winning? It's your 10. Bet on every exciting moment of the action in the world.